Hello and welcome to Favourite Book.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am joined by Graham from Graham Sillars Reads Books. Hello Graham, thank you for being on the channel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Before Graham tells us all about his favourite book, I thought I would do two little clues as to what the book could be. So, the book was published in 1934 and in 2017 it was adapted into a film with Johnny Depp and Judi Dench. So, Graham, what is your favourite book?
It is Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie.
I have read this book as well, and I absolutely adore this book. I love it so much. When we were talking about you coming onto the show, I was so happy that you chose this book because I could talk about this book all day. I absolutely adore it. So tell us a bit of the plot for people who haven't read the book.
So the plot basically is Hercule Poirot is on the train going back to England, so the Orient Express. There are about 15 or 16 other people on the carriage that he's on. The train stops in the snow because the tracks are covered. They can't go anywhere. And
typical Agatha Christie. They're trapped and a murder happens.
It's typical locked room murder mystery and a typical whodunit. It's absolutely brilliant. One of the characters, who's a horrible, odious little man, he is murdered. And Poirot has to figure out who done it. And
I love how it's a typical Agatha Christie as well, where the person who's murdered, everyone wants to kill them. So it's like everyone's a suspect because they were so hideous.
Absolutely.
I love that within it. When was the first time you read this book?
So the first time I read this book, I was about 12 years old. It was during the summer holidays from school. I couldn't sleep one night. And I think the copy that I read must have belonged to my mum or my dad. I picked it up and read it the entire way through the night and absolutely adored it. And it was the first Agatha Christie that I'd ever read. And indeed the first crime novel that I'd ever read. And hooked ever since. Absolutely love it.
How many Agatha Christie books have you read?
I've not read all of them. I think I've read probably about half, so about between 35 and 40 that I've read.
Wow, that's a lot to read.
I think she wrote about 80 altogether. So yeah, and this one is the 10th appearance of Hercule Poirot. Towards the end of her writing career, she absolutely hated the character of Poirot, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Couldn't stand him, but yeah.
So she killed him off. She got rid of him at the end. She was done with him. But back to your favourite book. The thing that I love about this book is when they take over one of the carriages and everyone comes in one by one like an interrogation room, because in a lot of the Poirots he has to go and find the different people, so he'll go to their houses and he'll go and find them at their work. But I love how everyone's on the train, so they're just coming in one by one, so you think you know who's done it, and it changes so many times within the plot, and I think that is so genius within it.
Yeah, the clues and the red herrings are they're so amazing. And every time I've reread the book, I've noticed something that I didn't notice before necessarily. And I absolutely love that. It's the kind of thing that you can read again and again and find something new every single time.
So layered, Agatha Christie's books like that, And I never know who the murderer is. I don't know if you do, but when I'm reading her books, I always have the wrong person until right at the end.
Yeah, there's a couple of times when I've figured it out, but I think Agatha Christie's writing, because it's so twisty and so turny, she doesn't give too many clues away until the end, when you find out and you think, wow, yeah, of course it was that person. The clues were all there, but because her writing is so skillful and she throws in red herrings along with the clues, her writing is amazing, and this book is just fabulous.
Why is this book your favourite book? Why did you choose it as your favourite? Was it the book that got you into reading, or was it the book that got you into a certain genre?
It was the book that got me into crime fiction, and certainly the book that got me into Agatha Christie's writing. It's just so I don't know, it harks back to a time where, it was glamorous, and it was...
There's a lot of glamour in Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
I find you can imagine yourself on this train, and all the seats have got like little curtains and little lamps. And it does take you back to that really glamorous time. Yeah.
And it's just, she's absolutely incredible. And her books, her plot lines, her characters, they mean so much to me. And because I think I was quite at an impressionable age when I first read it.
Yeah, because you were 12. That's very young to read like an Agatha Christie book.
Yes, yeah. And
I wouldn't say that's like her target market, like 12-year-old boy. It's like her target age range, but there must have been something about it that made you pick that book up at that time.
I think it was just on the bookshelf. Like I say, I don't know who it belonged to. It could have been either my mum or my dad. I just picked it up, and because I couldn't sleep, and I needed something to help me fall asleep through boredom, or keep me awake through the night.
Whole night. Yeah,
I did, and I read it cover to cover. And I read a lot. I'm not a quick reader, but I read that in one night, and that just, for me, that shows how
much you engaged with it. You just couldn't put it down. I think that's when you know a book is amazing, when you just simply cannot get away from it. You have to keep reading it to the last page. Yeah, but that's what I feel about all Agatha Christie's books for me personally, is that I have to find out who did it, because the mystery is so strong within it that you don't know who did it. And then at the same time, you're like, everyone could have done it. Everyone's got a motive. That you have to find out who did it. Yeah. That's what I like about it, because at the beginning, everyone seems innocent. It seems, who could it be? And then all of a sudden you realise everyone's got these tangled lies that they're kind of living, and stuff happening within their life that you wouldn't think would be happening for them. And I think it's very realistic to life. Like, you see one version of someone, but everyone's got other stuff that's going on within their life that you have no idea of. And I think that's what Agatha Christie really brings out in the books.
It's something that brings out someone's true colours. And I also like the fact that in this book we get to see Poirot dealing with his morals, and especially things like surrounding his religion as well. Because he's very moralistic and very religious, the eventual plot twist in this, it kind of sees him...
It challenges him. It's not just the challenge of solving the mystery, it's the challenge of what the mystery was, and the deeper thing to it. Because when it's revealed, it's absolutely fantastic, this one. It's not an obvious thing at all. Like other ones, you find out certain things about the characters, you think maybe it could be them, but this one will like blow your mind. It's so weird. The whole thing. It's like almost like there's two stories going on at the same time. When it gets to the end, you're like, oh, okay, because this happened before, and I didn't know about that. So then on the reread, it must be even more interesting, because you can be like, oh, I understand all the characters now. I understand them a lot deeper than what I did at the beginning.
Yeah, it's about time that I gave this a reread, to be honest, because it's a while since I have read it. I'm interested again.
But I think that's what Agatha Christie does, is you always have one perception of someone, and then she delves so much deeper into their history and everything about them, and that's what works so well in her books. Have you seen, this may be a bit controversial, have you seen any of the adaptations, and what do you think of them?
I've seen most of the adaptations. My favourite has got to be David Suchet.
He's the perfect Poirot, though, isn't he? He really is the perfect Poirot.
He is. He really is. He embodies the part. It was almost as if it was written especially for him in a weird kind of way.
Yeah, I think it was, because I saw the TV Poirots with him in it before I read the books. And then I read the book and I was like, this is exactly the same. His little mannerisms, everything about him, the part was meant to be his. He used to perform Poirot on stage as well, and I wish that he would come back as Poirot on stage in the play version, because I would love to see him, on stage do Poirot. But he is absolutely perfect. Have you seen the 2017 version? It divided opinion. I know it divided a lot of opinion.
My husband and I went to the cinema to see it, and I enjoyed it for what it was. but I think it deviated quite a lot from the original source material.
So instead of being the book turned into a film, it was kind of inspired by bits of the book. They'd taken artistic license and run with it.
Yeah.
Instead of it being what the book was.
And Kenneth Branagh as Poirot, there was elements of it that worked, but for me, I just felt that he wasn't the Poirot that I had read.
He wasn't Agatha's Poirot
in the book. Yeah, he wasn't the Poirot in this book, and it's a good movie for what it is, but yeah, it's not faithful.
It's not faithful to the book. It's just kind of inspired, and it's kind of run with it. It had a lot of famous people in the film, so the film did do well. But I wonder how many people saw the film and hadn't read the book, and so they didn't know, what it was portraying in that way. But I suppose it's just an artistic version of it. But you would recommend the David Suchet version?
Oh, definitely.
Looking for an adaptation.
Yeah, absolutely. David Suchet all the way.
He is the perfect Poirot, though. He is absolutely. Yeah. And also, I don't think anyone else could take on from him now, because he's done all the Poirots, he's filmed them. I can't see another actor being able to revive it. Is the character like, we've had a few Miss Marples, we've had a few different versions of Miss Marple, but I just don't think anyone would be able to revive the Poirot if they decided to do a reboot series of it.
Yeah, it was a masterpiece. You can't improve on perfection.
Yeah.
Was perfect.
It was perfect to her vision of Poirot.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Graham, for being on my first ever show of Favourite Book. I absolutely loved talking to you, and I will link your BookTube channel down below. You do book reviews on there, you do reading vlogs, loads of different stuff. You also, what I love about your channel is you read from loads of different genres. You don't just read from one genre. You can see Graham's got a Persephone bookshelf next to him there of loads of different types of books. So thank you so much for being on the show. I hope you enjoyed being on this.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you again soon for another video.